Now, because the next session we are going to have is about cold chain, demands for cold chain and controlled atmosphere distribution. So for this session, I'd like to invite Mr. PL Kaul. Mr. PL Kaul has been the past president of the All India Food Processors Association, the oldest association in India dedicated solely to food processing industries. Mr. Kaul, in his personal capacity, is the chairman and managing director of Mariental India Limited, a reputed consulting, engineering and consulting company offering turnkey consultancy services to food processing and agro-based industries, drugs and pharmaceuticals and general process industries. Well regarded for his professionalism and engineering prowess, Mr. Kaul is a chemical engineer of repute who, after serving the industry and academia, established his engineering consultancy company in Delhi. In a span of last over 30 years, he has made a significant contribution in promoting food processing industry in India, and having so far prepared as many as 60 project reports for prestigious public and private sector undertakings and set up over 40 projects in the field of food processing and agro-based industries, most of which have been 100% EOUs and thus compatible with the world-class projects in technical excellence. Mr. Kaul has participated in a number of international and national seminars and has made as many as 50 presentations of great importance to food processing industries in India and abroad. I'd also like to invite Mr. Umesh Agrawal. He is a chemical engineer and holds a degree from the University of Wisconsin. He has over 30 years of industry experience in various fields of expertise, including rigid and flexible polyurethanes, use of plastics in packaging, and the post-harvest management of horticulture produce. Currently, he is the managing director of Isopan Insulation, a company engaged in design, construction and commissioning of projects such as fruit ripening facilities, controlled atmosphere storage and multi-commodity storages. And from Jindal Mectec, I'd like to invite Mr. Rakesh, who is a sales engineer, and they deal in Jindal Mectec is a well-established company making reefer trucks for cold chain movement. Unfortunately, Mr. Gokul Patak, former chairman of APEDA, had to be called away to the ministry at the last minute. He could not come. So we will do this session between the three of our eminent panelists. And to start the session off, I'd just like request Mr. Kaul and Agrawal and Mr. Verma to one by one give us an update on what's happening in cold and climate controlled supply and warehousing industry in India. Maybe you can carry on, speak from there only.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Just switch this on.
In fact, this new ministry has taken over, so I was also summoned in the morning by the new minister for food processing industries to brief her up. It was our second meeting with her. What is to be done? And particularly, I mean, somehow there's a coincidence that today's topic was the cold chain. To be briefed, and there were a number of delegations from Punjab and everybody, and they were also there. So we had to brief them what is cold storage. She said, I am totally new, I am raw, I don't know, but you have to educate me. What is this cold chain business? Right? What does it affect now? So about an hour or so we were with her, and I had to rush to this place in this sweltering heat, and in between there was a drizzle which didn't give any comfort, but it made the things worse. So there was a lot of steam on way, and in the process I had to rush up, as I told you in the morning, so I left my laptop. but every bad thing had something good in it. The attendance here is thin, so I would not have liked your attention to be towards the presentation, but to my face, so that we are face to face with each other, right? And we know each other better. Maybe in years to come we meet more often, and it's a good introduction. Huh? Mrs. Harsimrat Kaur Badal. First time this ministry has received a recognition, and she is the union minister. Until now we used a minister of state for food processing. That means the new ministry in place attaches a lot of importance to food processing industry in the country, and she is quite sharp, quite intelligent. Her grasp, I found, was excellent. She understood very well what we were conversing, and whatever we are suffering from, I think she is going to do some troubleshooting. Now this, just as I entered, Mr. S. Harinarayan was making a beautiful presentation on this supply chain. Presentation was very interesting. I hope he's here, but it was mostly reflected to mega industries, what we watch on Discovery TV, right? Which are not really applicable in the Indian scenario at the moment, right? How many mega industries we have in India at the moment in food processing? Only Pepsi, Coke, where we need these kind of integrated solutions of packaging. These are mega industries, but we should not forget about 85% of food processing industry in India today is in small scale. And 85, you add another 12% that is in medium scale. We have only about 5 or 6% in this large scale where we need such solutions. Now, I don't want to discuss the supply chain. Let me restrict myself to cold chain. Cold chain is a supplement to supply chain. Supply chain as such is a broad terminology which is applicable to all products, but it is basically applicable to non-perishables. When we talk of cold chain, it has the application on perishables like fruits, vegetables, dairy products, meat, and all that. According to me, whenever I travel all around, according to me, the index of prosperity of a country is the development of cold chain in the country. If the cold chain is developed very well, that means the country has taken the care of the farmer very well. Farmer is secured economically, he is secured for his problems, he doesn't have any tension. Because the cold chain, they buy from farmer directly as soon as he produces, right? Establishment of a perfect cold chain means that the country has made consumer very comfortable. The consumer gets all the products, all the food products throughout the year at the uniform price. Not that today you buy cauliflower at 1 rupee and in the month of June it goes to 80 rupees for third grade quality, right? So in this country until now, even now, the farmer is still suffering, right? The consumer is suffering very badly. The housewife is suffering. Everybody is suffering because the supply chain vis-a-vis the cold chain is totally missing, right? So if we want to promote now, the new ministry has a very clear concept. They have understood it very well. So they want to give all out help which is to be seen to develop this cold chain all over the country, right? Why is it important? Say, I'll explain it in a nutshell. We are dealing with perishables. Now suppose now this is the season of mangoes, right? India is the largest mango producing country of the world. Now if we see mangoes, now 1.5 months of harvesting, right? If you see the production, then each day you have to handle almost 3 to 5 lakh tons of mangoes, right? If you don't have the capacity, then whatever is there, whatever is left there, whatever you have been able to pick up from the farmer, put it in the cold storage or send it for processing or whatever you have done, but you are left with huge stocks which you have not been able to handle, so they all go waste, right? So the cold chain should be so efficient that whatever farmer produces in that small short period of harvesting, you have to pick up every bit of it, right? Whether you store it, you process it, but you preserve it so that you are able to, release the stocks throughout the year for the consumer at the uniform price, at the uniform cost, right? So that is why cold chain plays an important role. We have to handle meat products, which need cold chain. We have to fruits and vegetables need cold chain. Dairy and milk products need cold chain. Everything, otherwise they perish. Now, why cold chain? Pharmaceuticals, of course, vaccines, antibiotics, and so on and so forth. Now, since I am dedicated, so food is in my veins. Huh? Now, you see, when we produce fruits and vegetables, they are processed within a couple of hours, right? And if you freeze them, you arrest the biological process. And if you maintain the temperature throughout until it reaches the consumer, that means it reaches the consumer in absolutely fresh form without addition of any preservatives, right? So sometimes we say the frozen vegetables, we say IQF, means individually quick frozen vegetables. We say they are fresher than fresh. What do you mean by fresher than fresh? This is a terminology used in Europe and US. Fresher than fresh means that what we buy from the market, a fresh vegetable, it is a misnomer. It is no longer fresh. Because a vegetable, after it is harvested, it dies within 4 hours, right? So what we buy is a stale vegetable, right? The example is, if you have your own farm and you grow bindis and all that there, you take bindis from the farm, cook it, it's a different taste. If you buy it from the farm, it is stale taste, right? So if it is processed within a couple of hours, it remains absolutely fresh, right, until it reaches the consumer, but only thing that you have to maintain the temperature. We have developed the cold chains in the country. A lot of frozen products are available, but when I go to the market, it hurts me badly, really, because they don't know how to handle this frozen product. If you go and buy Venki's chicken or McCain's and all that, you see the chicken, it is soggy. The product has to be like stone, right? It is soggy because you have allowed the temperature to increase. It has to remain below minus 20 degrees, right? At my house also, I have stopped telling now everybody. They say maybe he's stupid, huh? My wife also tells me, oh, I have put it in the freezer, no problem, right? It can stay for 1 month. But freezer, household freezer, it has a temperature of just 0 to 4 degrees. It cannot store, it cannot keep your product preserved for more than a couple of days. But according to her, if it is there, whether it is chicken or meat or whatever, it remains. Huh? Don't teach me lessons, this is different. Right? This is a misnomer. Huh? Now, coming back to this thing, you see the market value of cold chain in 2011, global scenario, was worth about $76 billion. Even though cold chain is very well established for the last 4 or 5 decades in USA, in Europe, in Japan, even then also we have a compounded growth rate of 13.2% even today, after so many decades. Huh? This volume is going to go up by 2017 from US dollars 76 to $157 billion. Right? This is the projection. 40% of the cold chain is established in America. Even there, they have, even today, 12% CGR. 30% is in Europe. They have 10.8% CGR. Now, 22% is in Asian Pacific region. But this time, Asian Pacific region has the highest growth rate at 17%. 17% because it is new. The US market, European market, it is saturated at the moment. But even demand is increasing. Why? Because number one, it is preserved. Number two, because of the health consciousness. It is preserved in fresh state. As soon as you process it, it is preserved. You make paratha and freeze it, keep it frozen, so it remains fresh without addition of any preservative. So the growth rate is there. Now Asian Pacific region is going up and up and up, so it has the compounded growth rate of 17% at the moment. So we have three kinds of products. One is fresh product, chilled product, and frozen products. Chilled product means you slaughter chicken and then you chill it, and then it is immediately dispensed to the market, right? If you have long-term preservation, that means it has to be frozen. Now, the economic viability of this cold chain depends on the speed, right? Between the collection, for the processor, we have to maintain zero inventory. That means as the processor gets the product, fresh product from the farm, whether it is livestock or milk product or whatever, they process it. Immediately after processing, they send it to the market. So if you are able to have the zero inventory, you have fantastic economic viability, right? Now, as for the perspective of the investor, cold chain is a very good investment. It's a fantastic investment, but you should have the working capital facility. That is what you should be, working capital facility to hold the stocks. When it is harvesting period, process as much as possible, put it in the storage. When the season gets off, slowly release it. If you have that holding power, then you can recover the cost maximum within 1.5 years of the whole entire project, is mega project. This is what I conveyed to the minister today and the secretary, that don't give the cash subsidies. Instead of cash subsidies, give them the working capital facilities, right? Holding capacity, and then you will see the total turnaround of this industry. Now, as far as India is concerned, between 2009 and 2011, there has been 21.1% growth rate. And between 2013 and 2017, there's 28.3% growth rate. But don't go by about these figures, 30% against the 17%, because the volume is small. So we said 1,000 tons or 2,000 tons. It is 100% growth rate, but it doesn't mean anything big in the perspective of our population or whatever, right? Now presently, what are the bottlenecks of our cold chain? Now, first thing is that you collect it and you must have storage facility. We have storage facility at the moment, only 44,000 tons. No, sorry. 44,000 crores worth of products are being wasted in this country because we don't have the cold chain in place. Metric tons of product. But what we need by 2014, we are going to have 7,500 cold storages, which will hold about 34.82 million tons of product. But this is only less than 40% of the total produce. Now, what happens to the rest of the produce? It goes on, goes waste. So it is a very serious problem. Now, what are the bottlenecks? Why we are not able to develop the cold chain? Number one bottleneck is apathy of the corporate sector. They have never thought of investing in food or cold chain or whatever. They have invested in steel, they have invested in cement, they have invested in commodities, but they thought that, okay, it is not important because we have to deal with perishables. This is number one. So business people who have money, they have not looked at this interesting investment. I told you, if they look at this interesting investment, they will forget steel and cement. Because there can be recession in every other industry in the world, but there can never be recession in food industry. Whether we suffer from famine or prosperity or adversity, everybody has to eat, right? So this they have to understand. Number two is the apathy of the banks. That is also very serious. Now, if there is an entrepreneur, you go to the bank, you finance, I am putting up a food processing sector, again, they think twice. They basically negative attitude, right? Third thing is the government incentives. What I told them, what incentives? There are no incentives. You understand what they said, the lot of money we have spent. I told them, a person setting up a project spending 20 crores of rupees, and you tell him that we are giving you a good grant of 50 lakhs of rupees, and that also he will not get when he wants it. He has to wait for years till the files go through the usual process. Do you think so? No serious entrepreneur who has invested in food has looked at this grant. Told them, give them incentives, give them income tax facilities, what facilities, all that. Then only this industry will come out. So this is the second bottleneck. First is that apathy towards this industry of the Indian corporate sector. Second is the banks. Third is poor infrastructure. What will you do with cold chain if power is not available, right? Invariably, all these, food marts, retailers, they have the freezers there, but they switch it off during night, right? So that is a very bad practice. It doesn't have to be switched off. Now you go to the foreigners, you tell them that in case there is a power shortage, how do we handle cold chain? So their answer comes, why should there be a power shortage? What do you mean by power shortage? We don't have any experience. Tell them if we have fluctuation of voltage, what do we do? They say, why should there be voltage fluctuation? We never have experienced, so we don't have the experience. You have to solve it yourself. So infrastructure wise, power position, until it improves quite a bit, we will not be able to achieve this growth rate. Third thing is poor quality of reefer vans. So I have the habit, whenever I drive down the distance and I see a reefer van going, invariably I see particularly milk vans and vans from other dairy and all that carrying fruits and vegetables, their doors are hanging. And you see all sounds. Sometimes it opens up on its own, right? So awareness is not there, right? Awareness is not there even at the government level. Somebody, I know one person, he imported saplings for growing good quality grapes, right? So they were to be under refrigerated atmosphere. It took 4 days to convince the custom officials that you cannot open this because otherwise the hot air will go inside and everything gets spoiled. They said, no, how do I know? Maybe you have imported gold. I have to see it. Okay, come with us. We go to a refrigerated atmosphere, to a cold storage. We will open it there. No, I don't have time. You have to be here. And then four days of damage was to be paid on that, right? So the awareness at government level is not there. Education is not there. Awareness at the consumer level is not there, right? So these are the bottlenecks. Then poor roads, right? You have to carry this perishable material with speed, right? Absolute speed, so that there is no variation of temperature. If there is variation, you can control temperature, but then you are wasting energy, right? So until all these things are in place, we will not be able to catch up with the foreign companies, right? Then along with the supply chain, along with the cold chain, there has to be a value chain, right? What I am telling you, all these things are about the value chain. At every stage, you have to count pennies. What I am wasting, what I am saving, right? So that value chain is also very important. At every stage, you have to understand that how do I save money in supplying the product, in cutting up the time between the processor and the consumer, between the wholesaler and the consumer, between the farmer and the processor. How to save time, how to saving time is saving money, right? I was reading an article about Mr. Buell Rasmussen. He is president and CEO of Carlsberg Group. Carlsberg, famous brewery people. They were, a couple of years back, they were also bankrupt, right? And when this Mr. Rasmussen took over, was appointed as the president and CEO, then he thought, what do I do about it? He had no previous background of beer. Then he looked at every aspect of it, and then he found that there is some problem with the supply chain. From there, they were supplying beer in kegs, and each keg, 80 liters, was costing 120 rupees. It was big. So they were supplying and leaving the kegs there, right? And it was very difficult. It was very difficult to collect those empty kegs and bring them back to the factory for refilling, cleaning and refilling. It was very bad. In the process, they would lose a lot of these kegs. They would get damaged. And then the cost of carrying an empty keg back to the factory, thousands of kilometers. So it was all wastage. Huh? So he looked at it and he replaced a keg by a polythene jar of polythene keg of 20 liters, right? He told them that, okay, now these wooden kegs also, or steel kegs or plastic, they also carried solid ice also along with it, carbon dioxide. Why? Because to keep them cool. Otherwise carbon dioxide would, the keg would burst. So they had to keep it cool, even in that temperature, cold temperature of Europe, right? So when he introduced these, the industry turned the corner. It was not necessary, all the more necessary, to get those 20-liter carboys back. If they got some back, well and good. If they didn't get it back, but okay, it didn't mean much on the cost. They saved on this solid ice. They saved on the transportation. They saved on everything, right? And the industry turned the corner, and they are now the 4th largest beer manufacturers of the world. They have came down from nothing from bankruptcy to number 4 division. So value chain is also very important. Now suppose I have a reefer truck, right? And I operate that reefer truck from Delhi to Bombay. I supply, we have couple of years back, I set up a unit in Sonipat for IQF frozen mango cubes, papaya cubes, broccoli, these capsicum cubes, and so on and so forth, right? Now they are frozen at minus 20 degrees centigrade. They are for export. So you are engaging a reefer container from Sonipat all the way to Kandla. There it is placed on the ship, right? Now the reefer van has to come back from there. If it comes back empty, so you have the cost, right? So you have to organize it in such a way, you have to coordinate through internet or whatever. See to it that reefer van, what I send from here to Bombay, it doesn't come empty. So there is some supplier who has to supply stocks to Delhi, maybe butter or milk products or cheese or meat products or whatever. So value chain, assessment of value chain along with supply chain or cold chain is of absolute importance as far as economic viability of the project is concerned, right? I think these are few points I wanted to share with you. If you have any question, I am there, right?
Yes. I think that's been a comprehensive overview of the supply chain, cold chain. I think we'll reserve questions after Umesh Agrawal has also given his point of view on this, and then we can have an interactive discussion. You want to do it from there only, or what? Not sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Kaul has given you a lot of statistics and data on the cold chain. I will restrict my talk to the packaging aspect only of the cold chain. Is there a slide? Go back to number 1. Number 1. Yeah, we all know that fruits and vegetables breathe or respire after harvesting. The key to keeping them fresh as long as possible is to reduce the rate of respiration without harming the quality of the produce, its taste, texture, and appearance. In general, this can be achieved by keeping temperature low, having lower levels of oxygen and higher levels of carbon dioxide. Packaging can make a real difference. In both temperature and packaging is optimum. Aging of the produce can be slowed down significantly. Address to the farmer. I don't have to read through this. Basically, one has to have a good combination of packaging and cold chain to ensure that the produce doesn't deteriorate. There are three major areas that need attention: preservation, packaging, transport and handling. We will come to a little bit on pelletization on that. Produce is stored in bags in the cold storages, which are multi-floors, and manual handling is extensive. So much better solution is to store in bins and avoid manual handling using fork trucks. I'll just show you some examples. So this is potatoes. These are the stacks of bins. Instead of people carrying bags on their back, these can be stacked high. These are plastic bins.
These are projects from India.
They're very nascent stage. They're mostly only you can count on fingers.
No, we have done on CWC project you have seen. So these are the controlled
They are the
atmosphere
controlled
cold storage
atmosphere.
for
So they're
potato
about
or
like-
apple.
Yeah, apple.
This is for apple.
Now, we come to packaging. Fruits and vegetable production and consumption in Asia and Pacific region has shown a marked upward trend. Rising consumer demand also wants better quality. As far as packaging is concerned, I think most of you know packaging much better than I do. So I will show you just some pictures of packages, different types of packages which are in vogue. These are consumer packs. I don't have to tell you what a consumer pack is. And then we have transport packs. Transport packs are, as you can see, for all types of fresh produce.
This kind of packaging has to survive cold chain conditions.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
So
Now the question is, why don't we have this packaging in India? Most of it. Is it not available? Is it not affordable? Or is it only the mindset of the farmer and the trader? I think we need to ask these questions. As personally, I don't think there is a lack of technology is an issue here. I'm sure a lot of packaging companies are quite capable of putting together packages like this. Then we come to transport and handling, which is pelletization. I think all that we do is always keep handling the produce manually, throwing it from one place to the other, tossing it, and so on and so forth. Whereas if we start pelletizing, the handling reduces. You can see some examples of pellets, whether in boxes or in bags. So pelletization is necessary to reduce damage to the produce. Once produce is pelletized, it is the pellets that are handled and not the produce. As we move forward, as our GDP rises, I think slowly and slowly we will move towards pelletization and mechanized handling. This is what we have. This is what we see normally in India. Collapsed boxes, collapsed pellets. Then we do a lot of banana ripening projects. So I will give you a few slides showing the difference between what we have and what happens internationally. Millions of tons of bananas from companies like Bonita, from Chiquita, are supplied from South America to North America and European countries. It moves in a cold chain. It is transported in cold chain, is received in cold chain, distributed, and the customer gets the product in this kind of a condition, which is the perfect condition. This is what we have here. This is typical. You can see banana, but I'm sure you have seen trucks carrying bulk of all types of produce. Now, on a positive note, I think little bit we have started seeing packages like this. Not much, but just the beginning. And I'm sure as we go along and as the customer demands better and better quality, I think this is happen. And this demand for quality will drive this forward. Even here you can see there are no pallets. Boxes are there, but their boxes are also manually stacked. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Umesh. That was, I think, inspirational. The challenges for packaging of fresh produce that we need to look into. And there was a comment about the quality of reefer containers. I think, Mr. Rakesh, would you like to say something about quality of reefer containers?
We are looking for this puff panel.
Yeah. Just use the mic.
We are manufacturing puff panel. This is a continuous
Put it,
puff panel.
just 1 minute.
We are the largest manufacturer for this puff panel, continuous puff line. We are having a plant in Batti. Production is around to 8,000 to 10,000 per day, per square meter per day, depending upon the thickness of the puff panel. If the thickness is 150 mm, definitely the quantity will be reduced. If it is a less thickness, the quantity will be more.
No, but the quality of reefer containers, we say broken doors and condition of maintenance.
No, they supply only.
We supply only puff panel.
Only just the puff
Yeah.
panels.
No,
The reefer van, the customer will give us the body only, chassis only. We are just putting the puff panel and this refrigeration equipment.
So what is the quality of insulation that you can achieve in terms of maintaining a certain atmosphere?
Definitely, if it is insulation is good, we can maintain the temperature, refrigeration load will be the lesser, the air circulation is much better, and the end product we will take it out is much better then.
Right.
So this is a very well established concept, rigid
Polyurethane
insulation panel.
Yeah.
And may not be knowing that Jindal Mectec, we patronize them very well. Their PAP panels are quite good.
Just use the mic.
The PAP panels are very good that produced by them. And polyurethane foam is excellent basically for even cold storage. The conventional type of cold storage is over. Now all cold storages have got to be made of these rigid PAP panels because we have got to maintain the cold storage to be absolutely airtight, so that in case we store these potato, we have to fumigate them with CIPC, so they have to be in controlled atmosphere cold storage. Since we have to maintain the gaseous composition inside, right? We have to purge ethylene out, we have to maintain low oxygen content over there, so they have got to be absolutely airtight, and you cannot make them airtight with conventional cold storage. They have got to have specialized doors and PAP panels and
Umesh, I saw in one of your slides,
Yeah.
if you can just turn the slide on, the use of wooden crates, superior wooden crates, but they are still wooden crates. Would you say that wood is the preferred cold storage packaging material for most Western countries? Or?
Yeah, well, wood as well as plastic, both are quite good. It depends a lot on the location, because plastic crates or bins cannot be transported long distance because the freight is too much. Whereas the wooden ones can be dismantled, or they can be supplied as separate elements and can be assembled at site. But in terms of storage, I think both are good.
Let me add something to it. There cannot be any person better than Mr. Rajiv Dar who can talk about this, whether these packs are good or bad. Now I tell you my own experience. Transportation of fruit as such, the best way to transport is specialized cardboard cartons, and those cartons are manufactured on fully automatic machines. I have set up a plant in Himachal. It is highly computerized, totally computerized machine. You have to feed the size of the piece of fruit, the weight, and it will automatically come out with the solution whether you need 3-ply, 5-ply or 7-ply carton, right? And these cartons have holes. They are light, they are strong, they are sturdy, they are made of cardboard. A similar plan was to set up for Apple in Kashmir. But there is also a lot of politics in it. When I prepared the project report for Kashmir, when the villagers, these growers, came to know that they are going to set up this plant, there was a big agitation that wood industry, manufacture wooden cartons, so many people are employed, thousands of people are employed, and where do we go?
Yes.
If you set up an automatic plant, that means we are jobless. So they had to stop. And similar thing happened in Himachal also. But Himachal, they are still producing, but side by side wooden cartons are also continuing. But plastics, it depends. If it is cheap plastic and the transportation is far away, you can still handle something in plastic. You have same corrugated plastic. It depends on what product you are handling. If it's an expensive product, it can sustain the cost. If it's a common product, it cannot. So it's again cost economics. But again, I am saying that we have the special address by Mr. Dar.
Yes.
So I think best expert.
You will at the end. We will round up this. Yeah, there is a question from Mr. John Benedict.
I just wanted to know what is the temperature loss in a container when we are using plastic tray or we are using wooden tray.
No, it has no bearing.
It is not going to lose.
It has no bearing at all about the packaging. The container has to be under controlled atmosphere.
I understand. But there is a possibility of a corrugated packing and a plastic packing is going to be a long distance. Is it going to be some loss in transit of temperature, or it is going to be fixed?
Temperature has no bearing on it.
No effect.
No bearing on it.
It's totally depend upon the condition of the reefer van.
See,
yeah,
if
suppose
it
you
is a good panel condition.
Yeah, suppose your transport is in -20. I will, and then I have one packaging of tray or one packaging corrugated box. Both are moving from here to Bombay, and logger is going. So you think there will be any temperature variation of packaging will
never.
No heat generation will be done from plastic. No heat corrugated.
No. It has no bearing on it because temperature control is automatic. Now let me tell you one thing. If you are exporting a frozen product to Europe or whatever, right? The container has a monitor and a recorder, right? The buyer over there will get the printout from the recorder. If he finds that there has been temperature variation, he will not accept it. Yes, it is automatically maintained.
Yeah, it has to be generated. But as an ideal situation, engine is not on, minus temperature is not maintained. But in ideal condition, is there any temperature loss or is not loss? I'm just trying to understand.
No bearing loss. Maintaining temperature is totally refrigeration activity and the activity of the machine. It has nothing to do with the product. Machine we switch, keep it up, we keep the control panel and it has to maintain this temperature like your own fridge, right? Whatever you put it in the fridge, it has to be maintained at that temperature.
It's insulation.
Yeah.
It's insulation.
Any other comment?
Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. That was really clear to all of you. And one question. As you say, Mr. Kaul, the 30 or 40% of the vegetables and fruits are waste because of there are no an effective cold chain. And my question is that I think that more than 90% of the products are sold in kiranas. And so my question is if it's India ready for frozen goods, because as you say previously, there are the kiranas commonly switch off their refrigerators just because it's a value thing, so for cheap, for don't waste energy. So I'd like to know if Indian consumer, if I put, for example, 1 bag of frozen vegetables, Indian consumer are going to buy also if it is more expensive than common vegetables. Thank you.
See now, let me tell you one thing. I can explain it this way. I explained that the cold chain and this freezing concept is gradually increasing in the country, and we have about 23% growth rate. But I added to it that it has to go side by side along with the education. We have to educate the people. We have to educate the housewives. We have to educate the Kiryana, that shopkeeper. We have to educate the malls. We have to educate the drivers of the reefer vans, how it has to be handled. So that is one question too. So it will come up. Saudi Arabia, about say 23 years, roughly 23, 25 years back, had the same situation as we have today. But now Saudi Arabia today or Middle East is better than Europe sometimes, right? So there will be total transformation, according to me, in another 10 years in India also, right? Things are changing. That is the answer to your first question. Second question is that whether it will be more expensive. It depends now. A couple of months back when it was winter, we were getting fresh green peas at 10 rupees a kg. So that means when you take out the pods, so pods you get about say 26, 27 rupees a kg, right? So that time it was cheaper. Now in the month of June, that has gone to about 80 rupees a kg. So that means if you buy that fresh green from the market, it will cost you more than about 160 rupees a kg. So this time we are all buying frozen peas, right, which costs about 130 rupees a kg, unfortunately, from the market. But the factory, the manufacturer sells it even today at 43 rupees, 44 rupees a kg. But from the retail, we get about 130, 140 rupees a kg. So this scenario is different. It depends on, during summer, frozen vegetables will be cheaper. During winter, this will be cheaper. But when frozen, this complete cold chain is in place, then summer or winter, it will be all the same thing.
Thank you very much.
Well, there are certain considerations, because if you are really going to grow the cold chain for the kind of volumes that you are talking about, we are one of the hottest countries in the world. Temperatures going above 40 in summer in many parts of and that temperature can remain for 4 or 5 months. The energy cost, the energy that will be required, electrical and diesel and whatever other energy will be required, and the cost of energy is going up, will be very substantial, and it will keep increasing in the days to come. I do not know whether the equation has been done as to the energy cost of a cold chain versus the preservation cost of food or the preservation opportunity for food, and balanced out one against the other. And also the corresponding greenhouse gases which will be emitted while producing that energy, as opposed to the greenhouse gases that will be saved by preservation of food. So this kind of an equation will have to be established at some time. There is enormous energy which goes in to bring plus 45 degrees to minus 20 degrees?
Let me give you an immediate answer to your question. Per kg cost of processing of vegetables and its preservation for 6 months in cold storage at minus 20 degrees is only 16 rupees a kg. But if you see the price differential between off-season and on-season, it is almost about 50 rupees a kg, right? So anybody can pay 16 rupees a kg. Say if you are getting cauliflower at say 26 rupees a kg, which is absolutely fresh, processed, frozen, good quality, right? Otherwise you have to get you are getting 80 rupees a kg for hopeless quality fresh cauliflower today. So this 16 rupees, if you store it for 6 months at minus 20 degrees centigrade, this is one. Number two, now you are worried about the carbon imprint. I mean, this footprint. India is not, affecting the atmosphere, not even 10% or 5% of what Europeans or Americans are creating havoc with the atmosphere. So even if we, build up cold storage to their standard, even then also we'll be much better off as far as our, fingering the atmosphere is concerned. So we are no way. They have to take care. We don't have to take care. We're still better off.
But aren't we living in the most
what we have done
city?
now in a fruit or vegetable processing complex or food processing complex, now it gives me about say 34 to 40% of waste. Now Baba Ramdev's project which we have set up, from the fruit juice plant, I was getting 178 tons per day of waste in the form of peels, in the form of kernels, in the form of pulp or whatever. What we have done, converting whole of it into biogas, and with that biogas generating power, right? So we have taken care of all these in most of the projects. These are being
But perhaps, sir, I think Dave has a point. We have to be a little bit intelligent in its use rather than following a blind Western model.
No, that's
Because
of
our
course.
temperatures extreme, no doubt. If you compare 45 degrees ambient temperature versus 30 degrees in Western countries, I think there's a huge difference, energy cost. So what possibly is trying to say that rather than following blind for everything, maybe we have to decide which are the area where it can be more fruit.
See, we are in even processing, we are doing it. See.
If your refrigeration equipment is well selected, definitely the electricity will be less.
It's like this. You are saying minus 20 for everything, but there are many fruits and vegetables which, at least what I have read, requires or could, like banana itself, if you keep it at too low a temperature, it will actually blacken. Banana probably
you cannot
requires...
take it below 14.
Yeah, you cannot. So it needs a cool chain. In fact, typically banana needs a cool chain and not a cold chain. We have a huge number of fruits and vegetables which just need a cool chain and not a cold chain. So we have to be very careful because we can save huge energy by being cool and not cold.
I think this needs to be a little clarification. In the beginning, I said we have to handle fresh products. We have to handle fresh products, chilled products, and frozen products. These are different. For poultry, for example, we don't need minus 20. As soon as it is slaughtered, we chill it, and in refrigerated vans, it goes to the market for immediate sale. Now, coming back to fruits, banana, what you said, you are referring to controlled atmosphere cold storage. Controlled atmosphere cold storage. Every product has its own temperature at which it can be preserved. It has its own gas, right? Now, for example, you cannot put banana along with apple, right? One will emit ethylene, it will affect the other. That gets so every product has its own temperature, has its own gas composition, right? Defined gas composition, which is well defined. And potato, for example, you can store for 6 months. Apple you can store for 8 months. For 8 months under controlled atmosphere conditions, when you maintain, even after 8 months when you take it out, you feel it is firm, fresh, same juicy, its skin has not shriveled, absolutely fragrant. But if you take other fruit, say banana, you cannot store it like that, right? So every fruit, every vegetable has its own property. So if we, about -20 or even fish product where you have -30, -35, you don't have to, I never said that you have to maintain every product at -20. It is only frozen, deep frozen products, right? So every product has its own property. Am I clear?
Sorry. I think I would like to just add to that. See, the whole situation on the cold chain has to be viewed in a totally different. The whole business of cold chain as a system has to be viewed with a different mindset. There are two things that happen. One is, the products get preserved for a much longer period. So effectively, we are substantially increasing shelf life and making them available for more length of time. And this applies especially to seasonal products. The second thing that is important, which I think is more important, is that much more of the basic produce is recovered for actual sale. So the cold chain actually facilitates the recovery of a larger amount of saleable product from the harvest, which would otherwise get wasted. I think this is the mindset we need to take.
To prevent wastage as far as possible. And I want to correct you, for this wastage what you referred, 44,000 crores is total. Fruits and vegetables is only 13,000 crores worth of wastage.
Oh, is it 30%?
No. 13. For potato, for example, it is on the average 17% wastage. So every product has its own. Grains, for example, are also wasted, but that is a different wastage, due to rotting, due to rodents, due to something.
So I'm afraid we are running out of time now, so we'll carry these discussions out into the tea room. We'll break for the next half an hour for tea, and if we can reassemble here at 4:45, that should be good. Thank you.